Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name is Josh.
And welcome back to FPL Graduates, and welcome back to another Game Week review on a Friday. Oh, it's going to be a big double game week, I think, Josh, isn't it?
Yeah, I think arguably the biggest game week of the season. Some absolutely amazing fixtures. And we've had to get one of our OG guests on to analyse some of the double game weeks this week, as well as in 28 and 29, more released today. Welcome on the show, Glenn Kitely.
Thank you for having me once again. And I really do agree with you, Josh. I think this is one of the best weeks you've ever gotten me on for. This is superb. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy one, that's for sure. We're going to break down who we're bringing in, what our chip strategies are, who you guys should bring in as well. We'll get through all the comments as well in due course. It's going to be a busy one, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, for sure. And wow, it's certainly going to be a busy one. I imagine maybe all three of us are using a chip this week, so we'll see what happens with that. Josh, what do you want to start with? What do you want to get into first?
We'll go into some questions, I think, first. We'll kick it off with questions, finish it with questions, chuck our bits in between. So we'll say hello. FPL Penguins in here, another OG, man. How are you doing, mate? Shiv's in here. But first, we'll get through some team questions. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments, and we'll run through a few now, and then we'll go through a few at the end as well. So Bailey's asking here, Sarr or Ramsdale, and who should he replace Jota with? He's gone for a double kill already, straight off the bat. What are you saying, Glenn? Sarr or Ramsdale?
Sarr, Ramsdale. Now, before you got the game weeks announced, it is obviously going to be Ramsdale. Now, it depends whether you have a plan for the next game week 27. Because for me, I currently have two Arsenal players, but I already have a plan for next game week. I'll just keep him on the bench and maybe take one of them out. So it depends who you have on the bench. You have like a Sanchez from Brighton to maneuver through next week, all good. But if you don't have, I think Sarr is looking very good. Those fixtures for Wolves in the double game week in a couple of weeks, they always keep clean sheets, as I always mention. So I'm actually going to say Sarr. For this one.
Yeah, Wolves now have 5 games in the next 3 game weeks, which is absolutely awesome. So Wolves players have pretty much become essential now. Ben, who you've got Jota. Obviously, the news broke today that he won't play against Norwich. Obviously, a doubt maybe for Leeds as well. Who have you been looking at as a little replacement for him?
So it's all dependent on my transfer strategy, not my chip strategy, this one. Who I want to go with is probably Maxwell Cornet, someone like that from Burnley. 2 double game weeks in the next 2 weeks. You can't go much wrong with that. I'm also very tempted to bring in Bukayo Saka. The reason is that double game week is fantastic, but it books in a transfer for next week because I'm going to already have 3 Liverpool players in my team. So if I bring in Saka, I'm probably going to have to take a hit to bring him back out again. So it's sort of weighing that option up and seeing what's best for me. I'm really, really undecided right now on which one I'm going to go for, but it's between those two and maybe a Chico Michael Elise, but fixtures do favour Cornet and Saka.
Yeah, just going to run over this question from Brody real quick. Why are people using Cornet? Burnley have double game weeks in 26, 27. Admittedly, Burnley aren't maybe the team you'd love to have that for, but they should score some goals in those 4 games over that course of time. I'm going to bring up this one from Sean here. It's a similar debate to what I'm having at the minute because my team, I've got currently 9 double game weekers in my 11. Ronaldo's in there. Probably going to look to offload him with my free transfer. Jimenez or Kane in for Ronaldo. Jimenez allows me to get Cornet for a hit and start him over Cancelo. So you in that sort of question, you got to weigh up whether Cornet can outscore Cancelo plus or minus 4 in 2 game weeks. And then also the Jimenez or Kane for Ronaldo. For me right now, I was set on Kane today. They broke the news about the doubles. And now I can hear Jimenez is getting 5 games in 3 weeks. I think I'm leaning towards Jimenez. But if you don't have a captaincy option for next week, Kane could be that guy. So it's a bit of a tough one. It's all dependent on teams right now. What would you do, Ben, in that situation with Cornet? Would you bring him in for a hit and then also play him over Cancelo, who have the second best clean sheet odds at 55% this week?
Oh, I probably wouldn't play anyone over Cancelo, really, in FPL. I've sort of had him in my team from the get-go, and I think he's just a crucial asset. Whether he's got a double game week or not, he should be in everyone's teams by now. I anticipate that his expected ownership is going to be a bit lower as well for this week, considering how many doubles we have. So you're going to make even more gains this week from Cancelo, and I think he's like a better option over most double game week, if I'm being honest, I still think you can haul against someone like Spurs.
Yeah, it's definitely something to take into consideration. Some single game weekers could definitely outscore the doubles. We've seen it before, and I'm sure we'll see it again. Eben here says Luis Diaz worth the differential. What's your thoughts been on him so far this season, Glenn?
I mean, he's been okay. I mean, he came on against Inter Milan, and he kind of changed the game for like 30 minutes. But I think for now that Jota is out, he could get some minutes. I'm thinking maybe Firmino, Salah, and Mane start this weekend, and then maybe Diaz comes in against Leeds midweek. But what's the differential? It'd be a bit too much money. Not knowing when he's going to start. I feel like he's going to play the Champions League game more than the Premier League game. So for me, I'd try and get to the other players in midfield.
What's your thoughts on him, Ben? I know you was eyeing him up this week. I've seen that tweet.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was eyeing him up, but I think the fact that Jota's out still doesn't affect Diaz's minutes, in my opinion. Yes, I think he's going to get minutes. You'd like to think he starts at least one of the 2 double game weeks, but it's just a case of he is competing with Mane for that position. So you've got to bear that in mind. And, you know, I'm very tempted to, but I just think one of the 2 other options of Robertson or Van Dijk might be a bit safer to go for.
Yeah, I think I agree with you with that one. He's a nice one to look at, but is he really going to produce the goods is what you got to ask yourself. We'll run through a couple more questions now, and then we'll get on to our teams and then come back to the questions afterwards. Izzy's asking here, should I play Aït-Nouri? I don't know if he'll play both games. And I think this is a big question with that Wolves defence. Fullback-wise, I don't think there is a nailed player with Semedo, Aït-Nouri, Marcel, Johnny. They can all pretty much play there. So I think if you're going for a Wolves defender, for me personally, I'd go for Kilman or Cody. I think those 2 are much better, much more nailed, and you're definitely going to get the 2 fixtures out of them. What's your guys' thoughts on that Wolves defence?
Absolutely love it, man. They keep so many clean sheets. I've had Conor Cody since like game week 8, and I'm so happy to say that. Like the consistent points is so good. Aït-Nouri, probably if he starts against Leicester on Sunday, you can see like a 7 point or something. But it depends whether it starts against Arsenal. I think they can keep a clean sheet against Leicester. I don't think we'll score that many goals against them either way against Wolves on that Thursday. It could be like a 1-1 or something. But Aït-Nouri as a differential for 1 week, yes. Maybe going forward because they have another game week, another double game week soon. So I'd say yes. I don't think he'll play both games this week though.
Awesome. We'll move on to this last question, then we'll come back to the questions as I mentioned at the end. Shiv asks, is a -8 worth it? Just as a consensus, is anyone here taking hits this week?
Yeah,
we've got it in their thoughts.
Is that a joke? Is that a joke, Josh? Taking hits for me? Never.
Glenn's a stern no-hitter. Ben, is it 4? Is it 8? Is it 20? I've seen on Twitter this week.
Yeah, I don't think it's kind of going to be as many as that. I think a -4 is probably as far as I go in terms of hits. Like you even with like the double game, you still don't know what's going to happen this season. So many like just things popping up out of nowhere that affects games. So for me, a -4 is probably going to be likely. Let's see who it's for though, because we want to attack these game weeks. So the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning towards that Saka tasty double in 26 and transfer him straight back out.
Interesting stuff. So -8, I reckon you could make, depending on the players, you could probably make a -8 worth it. Would I go to a -12? Probably not. That's when you're getting into serious territory of losing points. So yeah. So as I said, we'll come back to the questions at the end. But Ben, do you want to bring up your team for this week?
Yeah, let me just get it up now.
So Glenn, where are you ranked currently? Are we
around around 230k? I know you guys are like around 90 points ahead of me. I'm like 230k right now. That is because 2 weeks ago I captained Ronaldo, other people captained Fernandes and De Bruyne, and I dropped off I think from 150k to 220k. So yeah, that's the sad part. So I think I'm around 230 around there.
Awesome. Right, okay. Ben, go for it.
Right, I'm going to talk through it. In goal, Greater. I mean, it's a 50-50 call. Ben Foster, who with Watford, who can't really defend, but better under Hodgson or Greater. I think Greater's got that potential save points against Chelsea. So I'm expecting sort of 3 or 4 points against him. And then, maybe some more save points, maybe a pen save, and then Dennis and King sort of go in with the goals. We'll see what happens with that. My team at the moment is not set in stone, though. Like, it could change a lot through to the deadline. I'm probably going to make my transfers tonight, so we'll see what happens there. Trent Alexander-Arnold's going to be in there for sure. Reguilon, I mean, the rumours have just popped up about him being out for at least City away due to COVID. Like, it's again another sort of thing that's just popped up on FPL, and it always happens, and you always expect it. So let's see what happens with that. Cancelo will be in the starting lineup regardless. Jota will be either Saka or Cornet come the deadline. Bones obviously got to be in there. Newcastle at home is a fantastic fixture. Same with Bruno Fernandes. I mean, he's looked fantastic over the sort of recent weeks. The points suggest that, like, he's been consistent but not exceptional. He's been so good. He's been so unlucky not to pick up Hall week after week in the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks. Salah triple captained. I mean, you've got to really. Hopefully, I can sort of break the spell of me not really getting a triple captaincy choice right. I've got Watkins up front. I think Watford at home is a fantastic fixture for Aston Villa. So I think that's a really good single game week. And then these 2 Watford boys up front who I don't really want them in there, but they're there because they got a double game week, and it's just, one of them ones. I could very much see Dennis not being in the team come the deadline. His underlying stats aren't too great, to be honest. Kings are a lot better. So by the deadline, I could sacrifice that double game week player for maybe a player with a better fixture. On the bench, I've currently got Dalot, Dawson and Gray. So the current plan is, at the moment, as things stand, I can afford to get Dawson out, someone like Andy Robertson in, put him in, and then maybe go Jota to Saka or Cornet, and maybe at the expense of someone like Dennis, and see where we go from there. I do want to keep Reguilon in because I still think Burnley away is potentially a good fixture. So we'll see with that. But yeah, it's really tough decision making for me this week. And what are your thoughts, lads? What moves do you think I should make here?
All right away, Jota for Saka. Thank you, Ben. Right away, Jota for Saka. Obviously, at home to Brentford and Wolves, although I don't think we'll score that many goals against Wolves. As I said, I can only see us getting maybe 3 goals maximum in both of those games combined. So unless Saka gets man of the match or something against Brentford and gets a goal and an assist, then that could be worth it. So that is a fast transfer I'd make. I'm not sure about Reguilon. I'm not sure there's going to even start that Burnley game where it's going to be given the City game and then someone else like a Doherty starts on the left side against Burnley. I've really not considered Tottenham defenders. I'm really surprised they still have 2 Watford players. The moment they appointed Roy Hodgson, I just took Dennis out immediately. I knew they were going to be more defensive and not attacking. I took him out. But this week, they could actually work out for you. Maybe against the Crystal Palace at home, surely they'll get a couple of goals in those games.
Yeah, I think the main thing, the problem is the Watford attack. They've yet to score since Hodgson's come in, so they're not looking very attacking. He's made them a lot more defensively stable, but at the expense of how attacking they were under Ranieri. They used to get a couple of goals maybe every game, so it is a bit of a sticky one. Reguilon's an annoying one because realistically it's a good double game week if he was fit to play. But obviously, potential COVID. He's not been seen in training, basically, so people think he's out of COVID. So maybe a couple of moves, but I think the moves you're going to make are going to be really good long term as well. So probably going to be worth the hits you're going to take.
Yeah, it's a really tough one because I need to get one of the Watford boys out, but there's so many fires then to put out in this team already. With these players I've got in, like Reguilon and Jota, these are these ones that I've got to fix immediately. So that somehow the Watford boys are staying. And what options is there up front? Like, I may as well sort of bench one of them and just sort of save that transfer until sort of a real striking option appears. It might be worth looking at maybe bringing out someone like Dennis and then bringing out Jota and maybe bringing in like a Lacazette or and then in the midfield getting in Cornet or someone like that. It's just sort of weighing up what I think is going to be good. And it's going to be a tough few hours, really, deciding what I want to do. As I'm sure, everyone else is struggling here. Like, there's so many options for this double game week. It just opens it up so much more to loan, so many more different assets. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I'll bring my team up and we'll save Glens for last, the best till last, as we always do. So yeah, this should be my team. Can you see it here? Or you can see
it's loading up now.
Have we got it? It's black screen. This is good.
Yeah, not ideal.
We love technology. We'll blame the storm on this one. It's just got a blank screen on there for some reason. I'll talk you through it. Why not? It's the standard with live streams. We'll have to talk through it. So in goal, I've got Ramsdale. Obviously, he's doubling against Brentford and Wolves this week. Then we have Trent, Robertson, Kilman at the back. So there's a double Liverpool defence. A lot of people worried about Simicast, whether he's going to replace Robertson in maybe the Norwich game this weekend. Personally, I don't see it. The only times Robertson's not featured for Liverpool has been when he's injured. So I think it's one of those just double game week nerves that people tend to get. Like, oh, is he going to play? Is he not? I think if I had to put money on it, I'd put money on him playing both of those games. Kilburn, as we mentioned, Wolves defence, one of the best defences in the league, top 5. They barely concede over a goal a game. So Leicester at home, good attacking team. Arsenal away, decent attacking team. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep some clean sheets in that. Mo Salah's the triple captain, as always. I just don't see the need to go elsewhere. Obviously, with me and Ben, 20k rank, we're probably happy around there, and not triple captain in Salah when he could go nuclear against two of the worst defensive teams in the league would not be a smart plan. Bukayo Saka, Brentford at home, Wolves at home. I'm really looking forward to owning him. I'm hoping for a decent haul from him. He's looked so good recent weeks, so I'm hoping get some points on the board. Bowen, Newcastle at home, have to play him. He's in inspired form. I think last 5 game weeks he's had 4 double-digit hauls or something stupid like that. So he's definitely in the team for that Newcastle fixture. Cornet as well, Brighton away, Tottenham at home. He's in there for the 4 game weeks. I think this week he might struggle. Obviously, Brighton, a really good defensive team. Tottenham, under Conte, maybe conceded a few goals of late, but I wouldn't expect too much from him this week. Then up top, I've currently got Edwards. Obviously, minutes risk there, but I'm hoping he plays a little bit, especially against Watford. Ronaldo currently, who will be the guy who will probably transfer out this week. And then I do have Dennis up top as well. The bench is Sanchez, Elise with the double. I'm benching Elise. It's a bit questionable, but it's just the minutes rotation right now. Cancelo is also on the bench, as so is Delo. So realistically, I'd be so happy to bench boost this week, but Mo Salah's playing the 2 worst teams in the league that you could possibly choose. You couldn't pick 2 better teams for him to face. So he's triple captain, and I don't think I'll bench boost this week. Transfer plans are probably going to be Ronaldo to Kane or to Jimenez, as I discussed earlier. Probably leaning more towards Jimenez, but I just need to check who I'll captain next week. So that is my team. Sorry you couldn't see it. We're having technical difficulties, but what's your thoughts on the transfer, Glenn, with Ronaldo? Would you move him out at this stage? Obviously, Cavani's not fit. He could still probably haul against that Leeds team.
Josh, I'm so sorry. I really wish I could take out all my Manchester United players, but I just have other problems. Like Ronaldo been really frustrating me. When he went 6-7 games without a goal, I was really frustrated, but I couldn't take him out. And not right before a fixture against Leeds, man. That could be like a 3-3, a 3-2, even a 4 goals for you guys. So Ronaldo, for me this week, I'm looking to check out someone like a De Bruyne, which I already have for one specific player. I'll show you guys later. But Ronaldo, I can't take him out because I still have 1 transfer. But against Leeds, I really don't have to. And after that, you have Watford at home as well. So surely he'll get a couple of goals there. So for me, Jimenez or Kane instead of Ronaldo this week, I actually wouldn't do that because I don't think Kane will score against City. And Burnley as well. I mean, teams struggle scoring against Burnley. Maybe 1-2 goals at most against a tough Burnley defense. Ben Mee has been on top form. Jimenez, again, Wolves don't usually score a lot of goals. So that will just keep me on Ronaldo.
Fair enough. Right. So, Glenn, show us through your team. What is your plans? And, what's your thoughts on, obviously, the later game weeks too?
So in goal, I currently have. So I played my wildcard in game week 24. And I didn't actually bring Salah back that week. I knew I was going to take out De Bruyne later and bring on Salah. So I didn't make any sub for game week 25 so that I could have 2 transfers this week. So Sanchez is still in my goal. And the reason I don't like taking minus hits, points hits, as Josh already said earlier, I can, if I wanted like a pop, for example, this week or the next week for his double game week, I could take out Sanchez today and bring in a goalkeeper as a double game week, but I really want to save that transfer because, as you can see, I have 2 Liverpool players and 2 Arsenal players for game week 27, and they both won't have fixtures. So I have to save a transfer there so that I can have 11 players next week. Alexander-Arnold, double game week. I'm still also considering triple captaining, but that will be crazy. Ben White is also there. Connor Cody as well against Leicester Arsenal. I think he will keep a clean sheet there one of those games. Cancelo is currently in my team. Surprisingly, I'm also thinking of benching him. Salah, triple captain, Saka, Bowen, Bernardo, and Josh also mentioned earlier on that there are a couple of single game week players who can outscore double game week players, and I think Bowen is one of them. Bernardo, where was he when I needed him next week? Who told him I need those goals in the Champions League? How I wish should have been scoring those goals in the Premier League. And Watkins is up front, but I also just had a couple of hours ago that Watkins could be benched, and that is the last thing I want. And Ronaldo is also up front. My bench is actually quite strong. Now, my bench has, apart from the last player, but Digne and Ramsey, those two players alongside Watkins. I have 3 Aston Villa players. Obviously, I brought them 2 weeks ago during the game week 24 because they had Leeds at home, they had Newcastle coming up, they have Watford now, they have a double game week coming up. So the only decision I'm trying to make is Watkins, Digne, or Ramsey. Who starts for me this week? That is the only decision I'm trying to make. And I'm not sure they're going to keep a clean sheet. We've just said Watford don't score a lot, so I could bring in Digne, but surely Aston Villa score against Watford this week, and I'm scared of not starting Watkins or Ramsey, at least one of them. So that is why I'm considering also benching Cancelo and maybe playing Digne. I don't know what you guys would do. Triple captain, by the way, on Salah at the moment. The last few seasons I've been trying to be clever. Last season, I think I triple captain Sterling. That did not work. The previous season, I think I triple captain Aubameyang. I think he only got 1 goal. So this time around, I'm going to go with the crowd and I'm going to triple captain Salah. I don't know what you guys think about the Aston Villa players.
Yeah, it's interesting. For me, I think Watkins, I've heard a lot, like you said, about Watkins could get benched this week for Ings. He hasn't really set the world alight when he has been playing. We've seen obviously the likes of Coutinho and Ramsey get the points going forward. So if I was in your shoes, I'd probably play Digne, which is like, I think he's the safest. He's got the attacking threat too. Don't get me wrong. I just don't see Watford really causing Villa too many problems. Defensively, they are okay. Not the best, but they're doing all right under Gerrard. So that would be my choice. What would be your choice, Ben?
I'd probably go the opposite. I'd probably go Watkins. I think he's been unlucky not to pick up points in recent weeks. I think that's fair to say. Yes, like on the face of it, it hasn't looked too great, but I think he's been unlucky here or there. Like he's had a disallowed goal in the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? So, yeah, I think I'd probably go Watkins just because of the attacking threat. Digne's been disappointing somewhat since he's coming to Aston Villa. Yes, he gets forward, but Villa have sort of conceded them goals and done what Digne has traditionally done in FPL and sort of trolled us to the maximum. So it's picking the worst of two FPL players that just mug off FPL players all the time. So yeah, it's basically your pick. But personally, I'd lean towards Ollie Watkins.
So I'm glad we've helped you out there, Glenn.
Yeah.
How about both? Would you be? Is it too crazy to bench Bernardo?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, not at all.
So that could be the option. Just play Digne and Watkins.
Yeah, I think that Lisbon performance is more of a one-off. Like we've seen since De Bruyne has been in the team, he's been non-existent in terms of going forward. So to be honest, it'll just be interesting to see who City play. To be honest, because I think there could be some rotation. I know they won. Obviously, what was it 4-5-0? But I think obviously they only did play in midweek. It's a standard for Guardiola to rotate, so it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. And whilst Glenn was doing his team, I've been playing around on the app, and I've seen something which I kind of like, and it's a man we haven't talked about yet. I think Glens owned him a lot in previous FPL seasons. It's Raul Jimenez, 2 doubles in the next sort of 3 game weeks. And I'm looking at him thinking, should I just bring out Dennis and bring in Raul? It's definitely an option for me, and I'm kind of liking it. I think at the expense of tripling up on Liverpool, but you get those game weeks, you get that security, and it means I don't have to take a hit to bring out Saka, and I can just keep him in for his what looks to be sort of a fantastic run of fixtures going forwards as well for Arsenal. What are your thoughts on that, Josh? Is it worth sort of going straight to Jimenez at the expense of bringing in someone like Robertson?
It's the interesting one because with Robertson, he's almost like a one and done for me. Like after this week, I'll be bringing him out personally because I've got the Arsenal and Liverpool players who double again, but not for a couple of weeks yet. They'll obviously blank next game week. So for me, he's coming out. I've had him a couple of weeks now. I feel like he's been unlucky not to get some attacking returns. He almost looks better than Trent, but I wouldn't really bet against Trent in terms of his ownership. But yeah, I think Jimenez he's on my radar. I think he can almost beat Kane for me in terms of the pickings this week. I know Wolves don't score a lot of goals, but when they do, it's typically him.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, you're looking at the first fixture in there, Leicester, who haven't looked too great defensively anyway, and Jimenez is that sort of striker that you don't want to be having sort of a makeshift defence up again. And then there's Arsenal, which is the trickier fixture, but we saw last season, was it, that Wolves did them? So hopefully they can do it again.
Ben White never used to play for Arsenal then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very good option. Also, Neto is back in training, so it could kind of improve their attack like in the next couple of weeks as well. So all those considering, yes, and I think they'll score. I think they'll score the Emirates anyway. So the only problem is that I also heard that they don't put in too many crosses as they did the last 2 years because of Jimenez injury. So that's why I've been like avoiding Jimenez.
I think as well, like look at their fixtures. They just look so tasty from like game week 28. You got Palace, then Watford, then Everton, then Leeds, then Villa, then Newcastle. Like that's a decent run, that isn't it?
Yeah, Wolves fixtures from now until the end of the season, they're attacking wise, they are the best fixtures you could have. They're top of the FDR. So Raul Jimenez realistically could be a keep until game week 38 if he doesn't blank in that time, which he isn't blanking in 27 or 30 at the minute. If we'll get some more blah. We'll get to some more questions now as I can't speak. So the first one here is Big Bazaar. He's going, is Son to Fernandes and Elise to Saka worth a -12 hit? We won't go to Glenn on this one because he'll just say no. Browno, what are you saying?
So he's bringing in Elise. If he's bringing out Elise, it's not worth it.
I think I can't really tell because like Saka and Elise is a good move.
I'd say Sonny this week is probably on par with Fernandes in terms of their fixtures this week. Like, Fernandes is in better form. Son has one better fixture in Burnley, and he has a great record against Manchester City. I think he's got 7 goals and sort of 14 appearances against City, which for any player playing against them is a really good record. And then I'd argue that Saka's probably got the better fixtures. At least he's got the better form. So out of those sort of picks, I'd probably go Son and Saka as the two I prefer. I don't know about you lads.
Yeah, I think Son longer term is much better than Fernandes. His fixtures turn horribly around 28. They've got, I think, Spurs, Liverpool, and Man City in a row. So not looking good after 28. I think getting off United assets is probably everyone's port of call right now too. So I don't think they'll be as high owned as they were last week when they doubled. What's your thoughts, Glenn? If you had to pick 2 out of those bunches, who would you choose?
I mean, I wouldn't do that for -12, obviously. Fernandes is playing against Leeds. Leeds concede a bunch of goals, so I could easily see Fernandes even outscoring Son for both games. Son does have a good record against City, and obviously it's Burnley. Burnley could be Burnley, and he could end up scoring a hat-trick in that game. And I actually think Crystal Palace could surprise Chelsea. I know they don't have Gallagher. Maybe that will allow Olise more of the ball and all that, getting forward from the right or on the left, whichever position he'll play. Ben will probably know it more than me. So Olise has looked good this season. It's wonders what someone can do when you play for a good team. When you play for poor teams like Reading, when you play for a good team like a Crystal Palace, things could work out for you. So for me, I wouldn't do that. I'd just keep it the way it is.
Fair enough. We'll go on to Rijkaard before these two start fighting. Safe to have Kevin De Bruyne. Sort of the man who everyone's forgot. I had him 2 weeks ago, got me a captain haul, and then all these doubles came around, and now we've forgotten about him. Would you keep him if you had him, Ben?
Oh, at this current moment in time, I'd love to sort of fight his corner and say, like, yeah, I'd love to keep him, but I just think there's better options. I think if you still have KDB, you're probably looking at bringing Salah in this week, surely. Like, you've probably got, like, if you've got KDB, you've either got Fernandes and Salah as well as that. So, I'd love to make an argument, but you could probably spread the funds to make the most of the double game week players, because at this point, there's some really tasty double game week fixtures coming up, and it might be worth sort of leaving De Bruyne, going for like a safer someone in that City team, a bit lower price that gets similar amount of minutes. You look at someone like Foden, might be a better option to go for. But for this week, there's no harm in having him. I just think you can maximise the money elsewhere.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. This one's interesting, and I think it's a good topic to talk about because everyone goes crazy for Jota when he's 8 million midfielder, admittedly, but Firmino, is anyone really going to challenge his position in that team right now? If Jota's injured, he's playing down the middle. No one else really does that for Liverpool. Quite cheap as well. Would you back Firmino if you didn't have that triple up and maybe you needed a striker spot?
I mean, 8.7 million. I mean, it feels like, I know it can be cheaper, like it feels like 7.8 to 8 million. I could consider him because Ben earlier on said there's not too many striker options, which is true. Antonio's gone dry. Watkins, you're not sure if he's going to start. So it could be a good option if you have a plan for game week 27. If you're going to play at free hits next week and you can take out Trent, Salah, and if you have Salah, Firmino, it could be good. But if you don't have a plan at the moment for next week, I think it's too crazy getting in too many Arsenal and Liverpool players. But he is a massive differential. I don't think more than 5% have ever owned him. So the position he plays for Liverpool, though, I think he's only scored 4 goals this season or something. He won't get you that many goals. So I think he can still get better strikers like Bruyne and stuff.
Interesting. He scored a hat-trick this season, though. May I remind you, against Watford. So he's got the ability to haul, maybe. What's your thoughts on him, Ben? Are you obviously looking for a striker? I doubt Firmino's on your list, but what's your thoughts?
Not on my list at all. He's gone something like 1,500 minutes without scoring a league goal at Anfield. So that kind of says everything, really. Yes, he's a great player, but I think the other attacking assets going forward for Liverpool are going to be much more explosive, and they're going to be much more regular in the returns that they get. Like Glenn said as well, you've got to bear it in mind. Do you really want to sort of use that third Liverpool spot for Firmino and sort of put yourself blocked in? And, you could be in a position where you're going to have to take a hit to get him out, to get, the Jota back in, or Robertson, or whoever you want to get in for that Liverpool team. So don't think it's really worth it when there are sort of better options available.
Definitely. And when you think of him being about nearly 2 million more expensive, than Robertson, it automatically screams a no. So we'll move on to a couple more questions and then we will wrap things up for this live stream. We'll post our teams before the deadline tomorrow on our transfer thoughts over on Instagram and Twitter. So make sure you follow us over there as always. Here we go. Sean is asking, should he keep Rafinha this game week or transfer him out? He has about 6.7 million to play with. Obviously, Leeds are one of the teams that are doubling in 28, I do believe. Would you keep Rafinha, Ben?
Oh, it's a tough double game week as well. If that's the one player that you think's in the weak spot in your team, I might be tempted. Let me just have a look quickly at his immediate 2 midterm fixtures.
United and Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough run after that. That's sort of what I'm looking at. I would probably be tempted. I don't know. Honestly, Rafinha's a tough one. He's a tough one. Because despite what I say about the fixtures, if Leeds United score, and they have done before against the big teams, it's going to be through Rafinha. So I think if you're looking for an excuse to make a transfer, Rafinha's not the one. But if you feel like it's a necessity to get someone else in that you think is going to do really well, then I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that. Rafinha has the ability to score against anyone. He's not been in great form recently, but he has a double this week. He also has a double in 28. I think he's worth the hold. Also, Dan James as well is looking interesting. He's topping some of the charts for chances created and XG for Leeds, which is really interesting, I think, personally. So maybe he's a little differential to keep an eye on. Harry Hill, hopefully it's the comedian. He's asking Cancelo or Rafinha. Glenn, what would you start? Or who would you start, I should say?
There's pros and cons for Rafinha. He got subbed off at halftime last game. That really worried me. He got subbed off at halftime, and he's playing against United. I think he has a potential of scoring against United. I don't think they'll score against Liverpool at Anfield. But I think we are reaching there. We are kind of hoping for penalties. We are hoping for Liverpool to play poorly. We are hoping for United to be United and keep playing poorly. But Cancelo is always like a guarantee. Like they keep so many clean sheets. He's always on bonus points, Cancelo. So I'd probably go for Cancelo because Rafinha, I think that there's a bit more cons than pros. And those fixtures, though, United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Leicester, Villa, I don't think those are the best fixtures. But as you said, you can score against anyone, but I think Cancelo can keep a clean sheet against anyone as well.
Yeah, 55% chance for City just to keep a clean sheet in that one game. It's very, very hard. Only Liverpool have the better odds for that one game week. We'll move on here. Daniel's asking, Weghorst, is he the only good striker for now? I think we cleared up. He's not the only good one with Jimenez being about, but he is definitely a great option. What's your thoughts been on Weghorst so far, Ben?
I think he's definitely shown potential. I still want to see more because obviously Burnley are a team bottom of the league, and I think you've got to bear that in mind when looking at the fixtures. Yes, they've got 2 double games in a row, but they are sort of at the bottom of the table and struggling a little bit. I think other good striking options for this week definitely is Lacazette with his potential point scoring ability. He's the only one that's going to be up front for Arsenal. And also, like I said, Raul Jimenez, I think he's a really good long-term option. So if you were to bring in one striker this week, I'd go probably Jimenez. And then I'd maybe have Lacazette, Weghorst sort of on that second tier of strikers to bring in. But yeah, I think there's a lack of strikers this year in FPL, as we've seen throughout. But there are a couple that could sort of come out and start grabbing the goals as we go on through the season.
Yeah, I think you've got to sort of set your expectation for your strikers a little bit lower than usual. Like if Jimenez grabs a goal and gets a 7 or 8 pointer, I think you'd be buzzing with that, to be honest. So Same with someone like Weghorst, if he picks up an assist or a goal, again, it's really, really good output for the strikers, considering how poor they've been this season. We'll do one more after this. I'm being nice. Arjan's asking, which move should be prioritised this week? Getting Son in for Jota or getting Lacazette in for Antonio? He's not planning to free hit in 27. So immediately what I think is that Lacazette won't play next week. He's obviously got one of the highest projected points for forwards this week. But if you can't play a full or close to a full 11 next week, I'd probably prioritise Son. He's got Leeds next week, so he becomes a captainable player as well. What's your thoughts, Glenn?
I agree. And Lacazette, being an Arsenal fan, I know, especially if you get 2 goals against Brentford before the 55th minute, I think he could be subbed off the 60th minute and someone like Nketiah could come on, so Lacazette could be rested for the Wolves game. So I don't think he'll get you 90 minutes. Out of those 180, he could end up playing like 120 or something. So for me, I wouldn't get him in. I'd prefer Son against for Jota because he also always scores against City. He has Burnley, and you said he has Leeds as well. He has Everton after that, so I'd go for Son.
Awesome. We're going to wrap things up on this last question here. Coming to Sean, is Coutinho a good asset to own? I'm going to come out and say a big fat yes, because Aston Villa have a very nice double game week in 28. Ben, what are you going to say?
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially for next week, that's one I could target to get in. And I've still got sort of Demarai Gray on my bench, who is injured. It's a bit frustrating because I wanted him in for this week. And again, yeah, I think Coutinho's sort of been the star man, hasn't he? So, yeah, definitely one to target getting in minimum before that double game week.
100%. So that's going to wrap things up for this live stream. I might go live before the deadline over on TikTok tomorrow. So if you got any last minute deadline questions, make sure you keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you again, Glenn, for coming on the channel. Some good insight into this double game week. Hope you enjoyed yourself, mate.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think it's time to order myself a double cheeseburger just to honor the doubles. You know? I think it's time to do that.
Glenn's
Thank you for
treating
having me
himself.
again.
Love it.
Yeah. Before the stress from the weekend.
Glenn's socials all in the description as well. So make sure you go check him out. Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff. But that's a wrap for this week, Ben.
Yeah, it is indeed. Good luck, everyone, for this double game week. It's a crucial one for the season of FPL. And as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And as usual, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
I've been Glenn.
And we'll see you guys